Hey everybody, I'm Keith, this is Alana, and you are watching Wine School Debrief. Awesome. And today we have one of my classes that's not a wine class per se. It's actually a food and wine pairing class.
Classic.
It is. This is one of the most popular classes we've ever done.
Definitely.
And it's actually now and I gotta say, this is the last class I taught that's open to the public. Right now, this class is
This specific
food wine pairing
Gotcha.
is actually now only part of our advanced sommelier programming for the National Wine School.
It's hard.
Oh yeah, exactly. So amazing class, but this is it gives you a taste.
The subject. You do a really good job of simplifying it. So
Yeah.
folks are lucky.
Yeah, this is the 101 portion of the program. So yeah, so you guys are gonna get a bird's eye view. All right, let's watch this.
Let's watch it. Oh
my God! Yes. So watch the end, because actually what I'm talking about at the end, and at the end I'll talk about a little more detail, is why we don't pair fish with red wine. It's not what you expect. And also, please like and subscribe. It means so much to us.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. I actually remembered everything. Not really.
That's all right.
Okay.
We saved it.
Yay. All right, let's watch.
Let's watch.
When we started to do food and wine pairing for a full semester program, I started delving into the chemistry of it, reading all the research, right? So, blah, blah, blah. Reading all the books, and I realized that really no one had really hit it. And you know that because every single time, you try to do a food and wine pairing, it falls apart. It's like something's never quite right. All the rules just don't seem to really apply. Or if you're in a restaurant, they all seem to always, like everything seems fine, right? But you do it at home, it doesn't. So the first thing, let me tell you, the reason why things at restaurants work very well is because they're cheating. Because they're making sure there's more sugar and fats in your food, which always helps pairing. So if you want to walk away with one thing, now this is going to, I would recommend, this is going to cut kind of like 10 years off your life. You're going to end up, like, why am I 65 and diabetic and no feet? Well, it's because lots of fats and a lot more sugars. That allows you to ease, to make nothing's bad, nothing's good. That's how it's done. But to do it really well, you just have to know some basics of how we taste. And we're lucky at this moment in time, the last 10 years, a lot of research has been done, And so yes, if you ever listen to the podcast Science Versus, there are over 30 scientific citations in this class. I don't list them though. But, so, does anyone know how we taste? Right, how do you taste things? You ever wonder? Right, I'm going to do the 30-second. I usually take a whole day to show people in our core sommelier program how this works. But I'm going to do it because we can only do it now that now we're through a pandemic, right? And the pandemic, right? And then you go, oh fuck, I don't want to hear about it. You're going to hear about it because it's worthwhile to you. All right, you know somebody, you probably know somebody or yourself, you got it, and somebody end up with anosmia. You ever hear that term? Yes, right? Right. What do you lose? Your sense of smell. Right? You've heard of that, right? Is that word? Yes, right? You've heard that, right? Now, all right, well, the weird thing is that whoever gets anosmia, your loss of smell, they can't taste. Did anyone get that? Because sometimes, yeah. Right? You lose your sense of taste. Now, how much did that suck?
Well, I like to cook.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
I couldn't smell what I was seasoning or put me on.
Yeah. It's good for your husband because he's like, I don't have to bathe for like 3 weeks. Right? But, right, it's terrible. Like everything, you can taste sweet, sour, bitter, and salty. So, but literally, people typically with anosmia, they'll take ice cream, put a pickle on it. Did you try anything like that to make something taste good? And hot sauce.
Nothing tasted good.
Right, nothing tasted good. Because you lose, but you could taste some things, like a little bit here and there, but it's really depressing. Because you lose. So here's the problem. why is it that you lose your sense of smell? You can't taste anymore, right? And that sucks, especially if you love food and wine. And I mean, that just sucks because now I am famous for my ability to create art. So if anyone wants to take a picture and turn it into NFT, you're fine, feel free. Now. Yeah, just NFT.
NFT reference.
There you go. I'm trying to keep up with the kids these days.
So cool.
Yeah. And you know what I'm trying to do in this class, so I'm really introducing these really complex concepts, but using this idea that we now all share, right? We all went through. So I actually now in teaching, I use the pandemic to be able to leapfrog into very complex concepts that people would not understand before.
Right.
So, I mean, millions of people died so I can actually do shortcuts in my wine class.
But it's true. No one knew what anosmia was before COVID, except for doctors and things.
And I can show, and people can talk about like their trauma, because like people, especially in a wine class who had it, like, this is legit awful if you love food and wine experiences. You can be incredibly depressed if you get it, and then it's a celebration when you recover from it. Yeah. So that's one of the things I'm really trying to draw out with people in this class too, is that people in this very class have actually suffered this. So it's a nice layer to the class that I've added. Right? Here it is, here this is. Now this is, surprisingly, I know it doesn't look like it, but this is a human head. This is your nose, scalp, right? Throat, mouth. I know, trust me, I know. Like I said. This is your tongue, but up here, right? Up here is your olfactory gland. Now, this has the tens of thousands of different nerve endings. They're called cilia. And that's actually how, when you either eat or breathe, up into here, it actually captures all the molecules. Because we actually taste, like this, 80% of everything we taste is from this olfactory gland. And all of that is actually vapor. It doesn't actually, there's no, imagine actually snorting, like wine up your nose, right? It's all vapor. So it's all molecules, in the air, in your nose, right? That's why when you walk into you ever walk into a small enclosed place and someone has way too much perfume on, you are more likely cologne, right? Boom. Well, here's the thing. What COVID did was it just removed all these. It eats away these cilia, and now for most people that comes back after maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, sometimes much longer. Some people never comes back, or it comes back in the wrong way. I had one student who ended up eggs smelled like trash forever after. Talking about suck. Jeez. So you lose your ability to smell. That means you lose your ability to taste. Why am I talking about this? Well, because we have two different systems we use to taste everything in the world. And when we can actually break these two apart, right? Break them apart. We can never figure out the literally 1 trillion flavors that we can derive from olfactory gland, right? There's 1 trillion. We can never, ever, the reason why everything fails is because we can't do that. None of us are smart enough to calculate those odds, right? Not even AI can figure that out, right? So we just ignore that. We actually ignore flavor. Most flavor, we just ignore. Most of it. What we don't ignore is everything that comes from your taste buds, from your tongue. And your tongue is designed to make sure that you get the nutrients you need and not get killed in the process, right? That's why babies, right? You ever notice a baby won't eat spinach? You know why? It's not that they're dumb, right? And it's not that you're cooking sauce, which you might, but that's babies are not, restaurant critics. That'd be funny if they were. No, it's because a lot of bitter compounds are poisonous. So, on the 0.01 chance that a baby's eating something bitter that's good for them, okay, but most things are going to be poisonous. So that's a defensive mechanism. But we all keep that. So we taste bitter, salt, acid, sugar, and something called umami, which is the perception of savory. If we focus on these elements of food, then we can pair any single wine, it'll be awesome. But since we had the first question I was asked was actually, why can't I have red wine with fish? We'll talk about that. Right, that's the one big caveat. All right, and I'm going to put that up here. Fish, caveat. And just remind me, hopefully there, I'll get to that. We're also going to be talking about rosé, because that was another great question. And so people ask, why meat with red? That was already going to talk about that, but we'll pretend I wasn't. Yeah, my handwriting's amazing. But, all right, there it is. That was the beginning. That was the lead up to, entire hour and a half of pairings and showing why they work and why they...
Yeah, well, tell us about the fish.
Well, here's the one big caveat. The only reason we don't pair red wine and fish is because some fish and some wine have high iron content.
Okay.
Now, this is specific. So there's certain enzymes in saltwater fish that if they are exposed to iron, it'll start to immediately decay.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you can have, like, for instance, if you want to do this at home, get yourself a mussel, because those a mussel, because we know, right, and they're particularly sensitive to iron. That and a wine from somewhere in, typically from France, specifically like a Cab Franc from Chinon. Now, you put that, right, because they have a reasonably high iron content in their soils. So, mussel, red wine, the enzymes will start breaking down the mussel as soon as the red wine hits, and so you can actually taste it decaying on your tongue. It's one of the most disgusting things ever. We don't do that in this class. But it is a science experiment that is truly gross.
Wow.
But for the most part, if there is no iron in your wine, as long as the fish has a lot of protein or fats, it'll go really well with a red wine.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Lesson learned.
So there you go. Go into a lot of cool stuff in this class, but those 5 concepts are really critical.
Excellent.
Awesome.
That's so interesting. Yeah, that it's very hard to understand our olfactory system and flavors.
Yes.
So we focus on those sensations, those things that come from the tongue. And then your whole program is based on laying the groundwork for mashing sensations to wine.
Exactly. That's what this whole class, this is the intro for. Yep. Awesome.
That's so cool. All right, guys.
All right.
Thank you for joining us. See you again. Ciao.